Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwi. Health Tuesday, time now to talk about the whole aspect of Parkinson's disease. We want to understand the Parkinson's disease because the cases of Parkinson's disease globally are on the rise, and it is one of the fastest growing neurological disorder, and millions of people and families are affected. And some of them even drawn into caregiving roles. So we want to just move beyond the surface and understand the lived realities of this disease and what it truly means for patients, caregivers, and even the future of the healthcare system with regard to this disease. We can look a little bit at the figures. According to the World Health Organization, global Parkinson's cases have more than doubled in the last 25 years. And also, it is estimated that over 8.5 million people were living with Parkinson's disease in 2019. So you can imagine that number has gone up. And the newer burden studies just estimate that the prevalence may now exceed over 11 million people globally, and deaths linked to Parkinson's disease increased by more than 100% since the year 2000. That is according to World Health Organization. Now, to dissect this conversation, I'm joined by Audrey Oronda, who is an IOC Young Leader and Parkinson's activist. Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Mimi niko salama. We are still managing in this Nairobi.
I understand.
Let's get into the conversation. Maybe let us know what Parkinson's disease is all about.
Okay.
Yes.
So like you've explained, it's a neurodegenerative condition. By neurodegenerative, it means with time, it affects the brain, especially the dopamine levels. So when the dopamine levels of your brain go down, mostly people associate dopamine as a happy hormone. But dopamine does a lot of stuff in our bodies, including controlling our movement, how we sleep, how we talk. And so when you have Parkinson's, with these reduced levels of dopamine, you are affected by your movement. You're affected by how you speak, how you eat, how you talk, how you sleep. So generally, that's how I can explain Parkinson's.
And when you look at the numbers that I've just given, 11 million globally, we could be looking at those numbers. What do you make of that? Are we looking at a case where something serious needs to happen?
Yes, something serious needs to happen because, especially in Africa, we don't know much about it. So it's affecting us, and yet not so many people know about it. So I think awareness is important to tell us the reality that this disease is here, and we need to be able to manage it as soon as possible.
When you talk about awareness, what do you think is the biggest gap that you are facing in terms of making people know and understand what pertains to this disease that you're talking about?
There is a lot of misconceptions regarding Parkinson's disease, and it's mainly caused by lack of awareness. So if people don't know about the disease, they tend to assume different causes or different reasons as to why someone has Parkinson's. So in the health sector specifically, there is a lot of misdiagnosis. Most health professionals are not aware that Parkinson's exists. So when a patient goes and starts explaining these symptoms, I'm having motor symptoms, I'm having trouble sleeping, most health professionals don't relate it to Parkinson's disease. And if these health professionals don't know about the disease, then how can you even manage it? So it's like there's a huge awareness gap in the health sector. Most hospitals don't have the dopamine, the levodopa, the medicine to manage the disease. So it's hard to even advise the people who come with these symptoms in hospitals.
And you mentioned about misconceptions that people may have around Parkinson's disease. Explore some of them.
There are a lot, but I can say we mostly relate it to age, that most people who have Parkinson's are old, but we have cases where Parkinson's patients have been diagnosed at a very early age. There is one of my patients I'm interacting with who was diagnosed immediately after Form 4. And so this this misconception makes people feel if they have these early symptoms, they can't go for help, and they can't even connect it to Parkinson's because they know it only affects the elderly. Another misconception is drunkenness. So some people say these are the post effects of being a drunkard.
Like withdrawal symptoms.
Yes, the withdrawal symptoms of being a drunkard, which is not the case. So when they see a patient, they might say this person is a drunkard, and maybe the patient needs help. And if the help is not acquired at an early stage, then the disease progresses. So such a misconception is really bad for the patient and the caregivers. Another one I can say is a curse or witchcraft. But
that is very common, actually.
This is more common in the rural areas. So where I've been based at Kilifi, it's really common. We have this misconception about it being a witchcraft case, it being a curse, and so people don't want to associate with you because they say you'll curse or you'll cause. It will affect them, so
like
they don't want.
Contagious.
Yeah, they don't want to associate with you.
And when you are a Parkinson's activist, is there a specific moment that or gap that you saw in the system that made you decide, you know what, I want to push for the awareness of Parkinson's rather than just support and give sympathy to the people I've seen being affected by this disease?
Yeah, at first I only wanted to give support, and that was my main objective, to really work with the patients and the caregivers in helping them manage the symptoms. But with time, as I interacted with that community, I realized not so many people know about it. The people I'm close with, they don't know about it, and yet it's affecting them. But with the awareness now, people are opening up. Someone calls you, they're like, okay, Audrey, I saw someone, I see he has Parkinson's or she has Parkinson's and they need help. And because of the awareness, they can go forward and ask for help from the patient, from the health professionals, which was not the case before. So awareness creates a platform that most communities can meet, most communities can start a conversation and share different ways we can help bridge this gap in the Parkinson's community.
And in your experiences, what is the most misunderstood reality that you've seen about Parkinson's that even the newly diagnosed patients often do not seem to grasp at first?
So, most think you can't manage it. Like when you have Parkinson's, it's a dead end. There is no hope for you.
It's done, you are done.
That's it. There is no hope for you. But if you take your medicines on time, if you do a lot of exercises and physiotherapy, and if you're in this support group system where you can share your experiences as caregivers and as patients, then it becomes easier to manage. If you have a lot of support, it becomes easier to manage. It's not a dead end, but most patients at first, they always see it as a dead end. Before they accept even personally that I have Parkinson's and this is now my life, it takes time.
Yeah, because they have to process that and come to terms with the fact that they have the disease.
Yes.
Many patients do experience symptoms, maybe even years before they can get a correct diagnosis.
Yeah.
When you look at it, where is the breakdown within that journey? Is it a matter of the primary health care? Is it specialist referrals? Or it's a matter of maybe at community level? Where is the breakdown?
There is both the primary health care who are not given this information about Parkinson's. So they don't know how to diagnose and how to refer now to the specialists. And also to the specialists, there are not very many neurologists in Kenya. So you find like most are based in Nairobi. We have very few in Mombasa and Kisumu. So besides the 3 centers, it's hard to find a neurologist who can accurately diagnose you with Parkinson's. Yeah, so there is also that gap. But before we reach the specialists, the primary health care professionals need to be aware that there is this condition. And if someone approaches with these symptoms, we can most likely now refer to the specialist. Yeah, so there is that gap in the primary health care sector.
And have you encountered a situation where Parkinson's symptoms were initially misinterpreted as aging or even non-medical causes? Have you come across such cases? And what does delay cost patients in terms of being practical at the first instance?
Yes, I've encountered it, not directly, but a friend of mine was sharing with me. He's a caregiver. The mother has Parkinson's. So he was sharing with me the journey. It took him 3 years to find a specialist to correctly diagnose this person. The mother has Parkinson's. And so it was tough for him because without the medication, the tremors really increase. And it's hard to basically manage this person. But when they got now the proper diagnosis, it was easier. The mother is now on meds. The tremors are manageable. She can talk, she can eat. Caregiving becomes easier. Yeah. So, and a big problem with Parkinson's is that if you don't diagnose it early and manage it, the progress worsens, the symptoms worsen. So early diagnosis is crucial, and also timely medicine, timely drug administration is very crucial. So this is important. Awareness is really important. If we are able to diagnose it at an early age, it's easier to manage, both for the patient and also the caregiver.
Yes, and we have established that there are gaps within the diagnosis of this disease. But then again, if for a normal person, what symptoms are we looking at to just say this could be Parkinson's before they even get to the specialist to just ascertain what is the problem? What symptoms are we looking at? Early symptoms.
Early symptoms, we have tremors. So we have hand tremors or the leg tremors. Yes. That is the most common symptom we use to diagnose. Another symptom is muscle stiffness. So you become stiff and rigid. It's hard to move freely and to coordinate your limbs. Also, there's this condition, scientists term it as bradykinesia, which is basically slow movement. So your normal pace of walking becomes slower. You take a lot of time compared to how it was before. Then with these 3, you can say, okay, I need to be diagnosed. Maybe I might have Parkinson's. Yeah, but the 3 tremors, muscle stiffness, and slow movement are the main symptoms related to Parkinson's.
You know, in your work as a Parkinson's activist, have you come across patients who describe their emotional experience of, say, losing control over things like facial expressions, speech, movement, especially within social settings? What is the emotional experience of that?
Yes, when I met some lady, she had Parkinson's. We were having a meeting and her face was expressionless. But the good thing, she warned me. She's like, Audrey, don't worry about my face. This is not how I feel in my heart. So at first you might think they're moody because of the coordination on their muscles. They really can't control. So it's hard to see their true expressions on their faces. So most of them give you a heads up. They tell you this is not how we are feeling. But with time, they explain. Most people really judge them at first interactions. They seem gloomy, they seem antisocial, but that's not the case. It's the condition causing that.
And speaking of which, do you think there is stigma around around Parkinson's disease when it comes to how people view it? The way you said that some of them view it as a curse. How do we deal with that stigma?
There is a lot of stigma, but there are two main causes. There is this group which does not know about the disease.
Lack of information.
Lack of information. Then there is this group which have seen people with Parkinson's, but they can't really term it as Parkinson's. So stigma helps. For stigma, we really push for support groups, community support groups, where the patients meet, the caregivers meet, the health professionals come together, and even the general community are invited. They just come and listen to Parkinson's. And if one person listens, they can go and tell another friend, okay, today I met this group. Have you ever heard about Parkinson's? And it blows up at a larger scale. Awareness is spread. So stigma is there, but with awareness and community support groups, they really go in handy when it comes to reducing the stigma.
And one of the things we cannot escape is the reality of caregivers when it comes to Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
Are there patterns that you notice in caregivers, especially maybe spouses or children, when this now disease progresses to full dependency? Are there some of the things, what are some of the patterns that you see within caregivers?
So for caregivers, especially, most patients are of age. So most caregivers are their children or spouses, right? Some quit their jobs and they become full-time caregivers. Because with time, as it progresses, you will have to be there fully to help them move, to help them walk, to help them sleep well. So that full-time job really affects them. And unless we bridge this gap and have sessions where we invite caregivers and they share the experiences, I've seen the effect where one caregiver talks about the experience and the other listens and she's like, I'm not alone. So this also happens to this other family. So that mental and emotional well-being for caregivers is really important because they didn't sign up for this. They did not sign up for this, but they have to take care of the patient. So supporting them mentally and emotionally is crucial for them.
And also, when you look at it, still on caregivers, when you look at caregivers, at what point does caregiving stop being support and start becoming a full restructuring of maybe family and income? When
the drug or the therapy now is the frequency increases. So this person is now taking their drugs 4 times a day instead of 2 times. So we need to have someone there. Other people who are well off employ nurses. Those who are not well off, they depend on their immediate family member. So it drains you financially being a caregiver, and you have to plan as a family how to best support this patient. So I've seen cases where one of the child gives up on their job, then the rest of the children support in terms of finances now to buy the drugs and the physiotherapies. They now support this one child who has decided to quit completely. But when it reaches to that stage, mostly is when the patient can't totally control their movements. They need help to walk, they need help to eat. So they really need to be taken care of 24/7. That is when someone now fully takes in the caregiver role. Yeah.
And you mentioned something to do with medication, access to medication, especially within the country.
Yeah.
The availability of Parkinson's drugs,
Yeah.
it's lacking.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to public pharmacies, and if they're there, the costs might not be as friendly as one would expect.
Yeah.
If as a country we were to manage Parkinson's disease effectively,
Yes.
are there strategies that we need to do to increase availability and affordability of Parkinson's disease medication within the country?
Yes, we can. So if we start taking registry of Parkinson's patients in hospitals, then the hospital will know there is an increase in this disease, in Parkinson's. So they will stock. Most hospitals stock drugs depending on the need, right? So if we know there is this disease and most people are now being affected, they will stock the drugs in their pharmacies. If they stock the drugs, then accessibility becomes easier. The patients will be able to take medicine on time, which will be able to manage their symptoms and not degrade. And also, treating Parkinson's is not part of most insurance covers. So most insurance covers don't cover Parkinson's disease.
Because they do not even know if it's there.
No, they don't know. So it becomes an out-of-pocket thing. So you have to set aside some cash every month to buy the drugs. So you find most patients now, they reduce their dosage. Instead of taking maybe 2 pills, they're taking 1, so that they don't they don't run out of stock.
Yes.
So if the neurologist has prescribed two tablets and you're taking 1, your disease, your condition will worsen. Yeah.
And do you think, which means now Parkinson's medications and therapies are not consistently available?
No.
What does that do to interruption of managing or treatment of Parkinson's? Does it, how does the condition now, does it improve or just get worse?
It worsens because there is no cure, you only manage it. You can only manage Parkinson's. So if you don't take your drugs, if you don't exercise, your condition will worsen. So if you skip taking drugs, again, your condition will worsen. Yeah.
Yes.
If you go to the pharmacy, and I've seen cases where patients go to the pharmacy and there are no available drugs. So this patient has money, yes, but there are no available drugs in the pharmacies. Again, their condition deteriorates. Yeah.
And you work as a coach also, sports on matters table tennis.
Yes.
How does it correlate with matters to do with Parkinson's?
So table tennis is, I can say, an all-in-one kind of solution to managing Parkinson's, because it not only helps in movement and coordination, it helps in mental stimulation. As the balls come faster, as the speed changes, as the ball placement changes, you're mentally stimulated, which is important for the Parkinson's patients. And also for the caregivers, emotional well-being. You know, sports is something which is fun, and you can be able to socially connect with the other people. I had an event last month on World Table Tennis Day where we invited those people who have never played the sport. We invited the patients, we invited the caregivers, and it was really nice to connect with the whole community. And these patients didn't feel labeled as Parkinson's patient. It was just a normal person playing table tennis. And that's what table tennis does. It combines all these aspects, this mental aspect, the social aspect, the physical aspect in a very natural way. Yeah.
And also, speaking of which, of that table tennis, you founded Attain Table Tennis, which is a community-driven initiative that uses table tennis as a tool for health and inclusion and empowerment.
Yes. How
has that journey been?
It's tough.
Why?
It's been tough because I was thinking of a big umbrella. So it started, idea came through the Attain Parkinson's initiative, but I wanted to do more. There's a lot I could see sport can be able to help in our community. So getting the big umbrella now and structuring everything and having this vision that this is what Attain Table Tennis aims to do. Having this initiative that pushes the inclusion and the empowerment in my community really takes time and also mentorship and a lot of help and research to be able to now structure it in a good way. And now you can even explain, I can even explain to Mike, this is what Attain Table Tennis is doing. Yeah. And
even in your efforts and activism matters to do with Parkinson's disease, have you considered even trying to work with the Ministry of Health in as far as awareness and spreading awareness is concerned of Parkinson's disease?
Yes, I have come to realize through my research that partnerships is key in scaling impact. So through partnering with health officials or the Ministry of Health, they have a direct link to the patients, most of them. It will be easier to raise awareness through that. Through sports for development platforms, it can also be a good way of raising awareness. So yes, I've been thinking of doing it, and it's actually one of my main objectives in this year is to push for these partnerships, to start these conversations with the Ministry of Health and the healthcare professionals, and raise more and more awareness about this disease.
Do you think Parkinson's disease is socially interpreted as through a lens of fear or it's and misunderstanding in many communities? And what fuels that perception? Because perception, when it comes to such diseases that are not well known, matters a lot.
Yes, there is a lot of fear because of the symptoms. They are in a way scary. So when someone is having tremors, so you become aware and you're scared in a way to interact with them. So the fear is there mainly because of the symptoms related to Parkinson's. You have the non-motor symptoms like changes in moods, because you remember dopamine is a happy hormone. So when you have low levels, your mood changes, you become very gloomy. So people find it hard to approach you. You're very angry and it's not intentional. So people find it hard even to approach you. So there's that fear because of the symptoms.
And you know, support systems, we were speaking about support systems a few minutes ago. You know, are they designed around the disease, or are patients forced to create their own support systems for themselves?
So mostly patients, especially the young patients who are diagnosed at an early age, tend to start these support systems where they now talk to the health professionals and friends. So you find most of these support systems are health professionals and those people who have been affected by the disease directly or indirectly. So it's the community itself, the Parkinson's community itself, starting these conversations and starting these support groups. Yeah.
Let's look at the workplace.
Okay.
Because there's something that affects people, and these people are within workplaces. Do you think workplaces are prepared enough for employees living with progressive neurological conditions that like Parkinson's that you are talking about? Or do many people just leave employment quietly at a time when they should not? Do you think these workplaces are prepared for such cases?
Not necessarily, because if someone gets these early symptoms, most of them withdraw. So it's mostly from an individual initiative. They withdraw because they don't seem to fit now in these workplaces. They're slower in their movements. They talk slowly. They find it hard to eat in a group setting. So they'll just withdraw from engaging with their colleagues in the workplaces.
Yes.
But we need to have systems where if such cases occur, then they come forward and explain, okay, this is Parkinson's and this might change, she might be slower, she might be moody, she might express herself this way, but she's still part of the team, you can still work with her. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, for many diseases, sometimes we talk about surviving the disease.
Yeah.
But in many cases, when it comes to Parkinson's, the conversations is more about dignity and quality of life.
Yeah.
Do you think those priorities receive enough attention?
No, they don't receive enough attention.
Why?
Because quality of life to someone is being able to be independent. Yeah. So if I'm independent, then my life is of quality. And Parkinson's doesn't give you that independence. In a way, you have to start depending on someone. So you feel your life is not of quality, but
yes.
I feel quality of life is relevant, and if we can shift the mindsets of people defining or interpreting quality of life, then they will also be buying from the patients themselves that, okay, I might have Parkinson's, but I can still live a quality life. Yeah.
Are we having younger people who are dealing with cases of Parkinson's disease?
Yes, we do. We do.
And how are they, have you interacted with them, and how are they taking it, and how are they being helped?
Yes, I've interacted with them. Like I had mentioned, there is this case of a young lady who had Parkinson's ever since Form 4. She has a very supporting husband. They're in their mid-30s right now. She has a very supportive husband. During the meetings, the husband brings her to the meetings, and she feels loved and supported. For most of the patients, I've come to realize it's all about support and that community and the love you show to them and the care you show to them. It pushes them daily. So that support is really important for the patient.
So that means Parkinson's is not an quote-unquote older people disease.
No, it's not.
Because there was that perception that
yes.
when you hear cases of Parkinson's disease, you relate it with
old people.
Old people.
Yeah.
That has changed with time.
Yes.
Maybe I want you to talk about the IOC leadership a little bit, and how it has on matters that regard reception and the inclusion and empowerment on the ground so far.
So the IOC Young Leader program generally supports young leaders who are trying to use sport to make their communities better. So in my case, I'm using sport, table tennis, to help the Parkinson's community. But each IOC Young Leader has a different project on what they're using. But the basic, the common factor is we're using sport to help our communities. And so with this project being supported by the IOC, it helped me now push what I wanted to do to an even larger scale. Because you have some seed funding, you can move and create awareness. You can buy a table and start a club where you invite the Parkinson's patients, which was not the case without the support from the IOC Young Leader program. And so with this, you tend to be exposed to contacts which help you think differently about how to approach your project. And with time, your project grows and improves better and better. And when it comes to delivery, they support you both in a practical way and also in getting contacts which can be possible partners and also possible entry points to explore more on your project.
And finally, if you to have a sit down with one policymaker and have them change a policy, what is the first thing that you would want them to do regarding matters that relate to Parkinson's disease?
First thing to that policymaker will be to have systems which take in registry for the non-communicable diseases, not only Parkinson's, because this affects even the other non-communicable diseases. So let's have a registry, because right now that we are in a world where someone supports you if you have data. So you won't be supported because there is no data regarding the Parkinson's patients and the current state. So with the data now, then we push for the advocacy where the healthcare professionals are also, there's compulsory trainings and workshops on Parkinson's disease and awareness. And with that now will be a step higher when it comes to more awareness and reducing the stigma related to Parkinson's in Kenya.
Are there dietary restrictions that one may avoid when it comes to Parkinson's disease?
No, not necessarily, because they're being advised or encouraged to take balanced diet, but mostly light foods because of also the swallowing and the difficulties that might come with taking food. But dietary instructions, not so much.
I want you to look at that camera and give your final word, and maybe encourage someone going through it with Parkinson's disease, and even talk about advocacy.
Okay, I would like to tell everyone watching and listening that something simple like table tennis can be used to help communities like Parkinson's in bridging the stigma gap and the inclusion gap. And so let's join together, let's spread awareness. It doesn't stop today. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your parent, tell your sister that Parkinson's disease is here with us. And through these awareness sessions, we can be able to better manage it as a country and even as a continent.
Audrey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And wish you all the best in your Parkinson's activist efforts to make sure that this disease is known. And we thank you for making time.
Thank you for having me too.
Yes, Audrey Oronda is a Parkinson's activist and an IOC Young Leader. She has been talking to us about matters that regard Parkinson's disease. This is where this conversation ends.